Hey everyone, thanks for joining us tonight. We are at the 2022 US Rowing Youth Summer National Championships Coaches and Coxswains meeting. Today you're going to hear from us at US Rowing. We'll go over an intro of who's on the call and then go over the schedule for registration and what's happening on the venue. Then we'll talk about the code of conduct and dive more into SAFESPORT and answer any questions that you do have. Then I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our chief referee and deputy referee, Scott Woodworth and Cindy Whitehead, and we'll do a referee welcome and talk about traffic patterns, rules of rowing, and then discuss on the water details, including the racing and finishing. Then we will pass it off to the LOC and they'll talk about the evacuation plans, venue maps, tent plans, and the parking information. If you do have any questions, please go ahead and put that in the Q&A. We'll take all questions at the very end of this. And this presentation will be recorded. We'll go ahead and post the slideshow and the recording tomorrow morning. So like I said on this call, my name's Sarah McAuliffe. I'm the director of events. Joining me today, I have my coworker Reggie Robinson, Paul Wilkins, and Jewel Zane. Then from the Oak Ridge Rowing Association LOC, we have the Regatta Director, Matt Kaminsky, and Regatta Chair, Jim Rogers. And then our Chief and Deputy Referee, Scott Woodworth and Cindy Whitehead. So to start off, trailers arriving, I'll just make one note. If you have any questions, Matt and Jim will be your point of contacts there. If your trailers are coming early, please reach out to them ahead of time and make sure they're aware. Otherwise, they'll be ready on site to help park your trailers when you arrive. In regards to US Rowing registration tent, we'll go ahead and open on Thursday, July 14th from 11 to 6 p.m. And that's where you're going to be able to pick up your time trial bow numbers along with your wristbands. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll open at 6 a.m. and stay open till the end of racing. Right now, Regatta Central is open for any late entries, and it's also open for any lineup changes. So please go do that on Regatta Central for the time being. But once we officially close down, anything post-closing on Regatta Central can be done on paper with us at the table. Practice will go ahead on Thursday, July 14th from 12 to 6 with last launch at 5:30. And then we also have the college fair taking place from July 15th and July 16th. And then finally, the last date to note is the schedule is currently posted on Regatta Central as of about a half hour ago with the most up-to-date entries. That is just posted on a spreadsheet, but it'll be live and on here now by tomorrow. I'll go ahead and pass it off to Jewel Zane. We can go over code of conduct and SAFESPORT.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Just to touch real quick on the requirements for all athletes and coaches coming to the regatta. A membership, which is a basic membership with regatta package or championship membership is required. We want you to sign your waiver and we'll get to SAFESPORT in just a minute and what's required there. But also very important to us is that you follow the code of conduct. Obviously in bold, you can see what that's all about. It's about the safety and well-being of athletes. We want you to follow the safety procedures and guidelines. Specifically the rules of rowing and the direction of all regatta officials. That's how we keep you safe because that makes you predictable when you're on the water and off the water. And so it's important to us that you familiarize yourself with that. We want you to display good sportsmanship at all time. And we want to emphasize that unsportsmanlike behavior can lead to penalties that are as far reaching as exclusion. And that we want to make sure that you provided a welcoming environment to all other competitors, and that any sort of conflict is resolved in a professional manner. Not complying with those rules and with the code of conduct is really not an option here. And like I said, dismissal from the event is an unfortunate possibility if you or someone on your crew does not behave. So, please familiarize yourself with what's required there. And we can all make sure that this is going to be a great week. So what do you need to do in terms of SAFESPORT? Well, having started on January 1 of this year, we have new requirements or updated requirements for SAFESPORT. If an athlete is 18 years old based on their birthday, not their rowing age, their actual age. If an athlete is 18 years old or older and they happen to be participating in this regatta, they have to complete the adult athlete training. An athlete can do that by logging into their USRowing membership profile, clicking the SAFESPORT button in the menu, and in the catalog of courses find the adult athlete training. It takes approximately half an hour to complete. And that's certainly the most important training and the fastest training for an athlete to take. If you are a coach and you need access to the dock, for example, at this regatta, you have to take the NGB1 core training. If you've taken that training in the past, but it may have expired, the refresher course takes 30 minutes or less. And so that's a requirement as well. And what I want to get to, and I think, Sarah, we can skip to the next slide here, is that if you have people coming to this regatta who are planning on being on the dock, perhaps to carry down equipment, to provide some last minute coaching to the crew, it's important that you register everyone for the team that's going to need a wristband as a coach or support staff. You can do that on Regatta Central. There is a SAFESPORT menu option with registration. You can select the team you're with, enter the information for people. If you have people coming that are parents, but they're going to support or someone else with your team, we now have a new membership or a new option in our membership database called Volunteer. It's at no cost to you. People can use that if they're not engaging in anything on the water usually, except for the minor support. And I'm sorry about my dog barking here in the background. Please register that. If you came to Youth Nationals, if you came to any of our regionals, this shouldn't be new. We did that there. So we just want to make sure that you list everyone that's coming so that we don't have to follow up with people when they get to registration. They're like, oh, what are you talking about? Well, you have to take this training before you can help. Please avoid that whole thing for all of us. So sign up ahead of time so that you can check people's compliance.
Thanks, Jules. I like the dog. It makes it more fun here. Matt, if you want to go over, Matt and Jim, go over the traffic pattern a little bit.
Sure. Hopefully everyone's been able to see this on the registration packet, information packet. There are a couple different maps here, 3 to be precise. There's a practice day, there's time trials, and there's a 2K. To start off with, we'll talk about the practice day. You'll notice in the bottom left corner of the map, and these will be posted around the venue and on the around by the docks also. For reference when you're down here. But the 4 docks furthest away from the boathouse are the launch and recovery docks. 2 of them are marked with launch signs, launch 1, launch 2, and 2 are marked with recovery, recovery 3, recovery 4. During practice and time trials, you will launch from the 2 docks furthest away from the boathouse. There is a line of buoys, yellow buoys in the embayment. And you will stay to the right of those buoys. You'll come out of the embayment and there'll be another traffic line going downstream towards the finish tower. You will follow the shoreline down past the finish tower. It's actually a couple of blue buoys down there. You will circle around, cross over to the other side of the river and then go back up to the start. Practice days, you can go up in lane 0, which is the far side, or in lane 1. The first lane on the far side up to the start. You may go above the bridge, but I wouldn't recommend going too far. When you come down, lanes 2 and 3 on practice days are dead. Referees and marshals will be in those lanes, and then you can come down in lanes 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you're doing multiple trips, once you cross the finish line, weigh off, check it, go back up to that far side and back up again. Once you come back, into the embayment, you can either come down in lane 7, pull off the course and turn into the embayment, or if you're going to cross through the finish line, do a little sprint, cross the finish line, stop quickly after the finish, turn, and then there's a line of buoys you'll follow between the course and the traffic pattern going down past the finish. Coming in to the right-hand side, we call the right-hand rule. You can see it's marked blue and green on the bottom left, and then you'll return to the two docks closer to the boathouse, not the two unmarked ones at the very top. Those are the boathouse marks. So that's the practice day. Pretty straightforward. The time trial, the good news is that the traffic pattern outside of the leaving and coming into the docks are exactly the same. You'll stay to the right. You'll take the same two launch docks furthest away from the boathouse, again, down past the finish, circle around and go up. So give yourself enough time. We've got some more detailed maps coming up to do with the traffic pattern. There's a couple of people on this call. I'm going to defer to them. They had a great amount of experience with our races this year, the races that had time trials. And they can go into real details about the staging process, moving in towards the start, and then through the finish. So I'll turn this over to Lawrence and Jim Rogers.
Lawrence, do you want to do that or do you want me to? I don't care.
All right, hear me okay on the microphone?
Yep.
Good volume, okay. This is obviously the start area upstream. You can see the start bridge on this particular package. You see here's our start bridge. This is Calhoun's restaurant. This is the railroad bridge that you will see. When you come upstream, you'll come up hugging what we call the county side, which is on your starboard. You can go under the bridge. There is 3 openings underneath this bridge. There are 2 that we want you to use, and they are the 2 that are close to what I call the county side. There's an opening here that goes upstream, and there's an opening closer to the center that's coming downstream we want you to use. There's an opening over here that we call on the city side that can be low water, and we do not want you using. When you go up past the railroad bridge, we're over to this little cartoon on the left-hand side. You will see there is a red buoy and there is a blue buoy, I believe it is a blue, about 300 meters each apart. We would like you, for warming up, to go on a counterclockwise rotation within that area. There will be referee marshals in this area to try and get you in the correct sequence for starting your run down the course for the time trial. This, by the way, is also identical for sprint racing. There are some subtleties that I will explain. For the time trials, when you're north of the bridge, upstream of the bridge, what we will do is stay here, please. Referees will marshal you into the pre-stage area, which you can see this is the pre-stage area. Once the stage area is empty, you will move to there. Now, during time trial, this is going to be packed up probably a little tighter than teams, because what we want to do is we're sending you down into lanes 3 and 5. And your start times through the 3 and 5, I haven't heard. Are we somewhere around 10-second centers on lane to lane? It's somewhere in there. It'll be established. I haven't seen what the actual number is. But the real key behind this is when you start coming from this staged area, you'll be on this side of this red buoy. There's a red buoy right at the end of the start bridge. You will come around this corner, and what we want you to do is to slide into the lane. What we don't want you to do is come along, rotate, set up, and go. If we do that, we'll take 3 years to get this time trial done, and we don't want to do that. So you come in, and if you're in the lane 3, you just come in and take a nice sweeping angle and keep on running. If you're in lane 5, just a little open more turn, and you make it into lane 5. But once your start for the time trial basically starts right about here, right at the start bridge. You start rowing and you don't stop. When for sprint races, again, on the upstream side of the bridge, Referees will be sort of herding you into your race sets. And so they're depending, if you have a 7-team race, what will happen is you'll be herded so that 7 crews will end up into the pre-stage area. So you're right here in the pre-stage. If there's no one into the stage area, you make your way into the staged area. Once the pre-stage is clear, referees will be putting another set of crews into the pre-stage. And that just keeps on going from the stage area. The referees that are on the start platform, which is right about here, will call the crews into the race. As these people leave the stage area, the pre-stage moves forward, the next set of teams come in. So that's the sequence for sprint races. Relatively simple, it works very well, and once we get it rolling, it's pretty good. Let's go to the next slide. This relates a lot to the time trial racing, because as you can see here, we have lane 4 is always dead. Lane 3 is where you're coming downstream. Lane 5 is where you're coming downstream. Lanes 2 and 6 are yield lanes. So if you have, if you're in lane 3 and someone's coming up to you, I believe it is, what is the distance, guys, for having to switch to yield your lane?
1 length. One length of open. 1 length of open.
1 length of open. So if you're within a boat length of the team in front of you, you are required to yield your lane, so you're required to move over and let the faster person pass. Now, when we come down to the finish line, this is where it gets a little tricky. What we want lane 3 to do is to continue rowing through the finish line. What you are going to see, you're going to see 2 yellow buoys and a blue buoy down further down the road. This first yellow is probably 150 meters away. This one's around 200 meters past the finish. Lane 3 is to come down and go around the second yellow, and then come this way to go back to the embayment. Lane 5 is to come down and go around the first yellow and then go back to the embayment. Crews that are coming from the embayment to race, they are to keep the blue buoys on their port side and go all the way around the far side of the blue buoys to go up lane 0. This should work very well. The challenges that we've had before is people come across the finish line and stop, and then they turn to head back to the embayment, which creates a real challenge for the next team behind them, because they end up having to stop for those people, or we end up having with crashes on site. So keep rowing until you go around these yellow buoys. And that should be pretty clean. Sprint racing, obviously a little easier. Once you're finished, you've got lots of time. Let's see. Sprint racing. Matt, do you want to talk about this, about the launch and recovery docks, how they split and whatnot?
Sure. So after the racing on Friday, we are going to be switching the docks and switching the signs. What was the right-hand rule in the embayment, where it's the you stay to the right, we're now switching to the left. And in order to facilitate that, we're going to be now launching from the, as you look at it, the 2 docks, which will be closer to the boathouse. You will launch from those docks. Again, there are 2 signs. You'll see them, they're red and gray as you come down to the docks. You will launch, you'll go across to the embayment, across the traffic line, and come out of the embayment. Once you come out of the embayment, we will be going directly across the course. Now, obviously, if there's races going down, we've got to be careful with that. We're waiting for races to go past, and once they're clear, you need to move across the course at a firm pressure, whole crew. This is not arms only, 1 person at a time. Get across quickly. Once you've cleared the course, you can stop, turn, and continue your warm-up going upstream. If there's a race coming down, you will need to hold. We'll have someone at the end of the peninsula there to hold you. Obviously, if it's an 8s race or a quad, we're going to need a little bit more space. to make sure we're not in the way of the races coming down. Once you finish the race, or you can go up, and the warm-up pattern is just the same thing as you did earlier for the time trials. Once you finish the race, you can stop, turn, go towards the road, and then follow that traffic pattern up, and then come in on the first left of the that traffic lane. Do not cross that lane because we're going to have people coming out the embankment. And then as you come in, you'll come across to the first 2 docks, and then make yourself come into the docks and trailers. So pretty straightforward there. Just be aware that they do change. So the 2 docks you'll be launching from on practice days and time trial days, you will be recovering from those during race days. That's usually a little bit confusing, but we'll figure that out.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. And Scott and Cindy, we'll pass it off for you for the referees.
Great. My name's Scott Woodworth. I'm the chief referee. Cindy Whitehead is, wave at him, Cindy. I can't see you. Is my deputy chief. We have 27 referees on the water. Very good representative of across the U.S. from Mid-Atlantic, Northwest, Southwest, Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and Central regions. So very well represented across the U.S. Combined, this group has in excess of 135 years of local, regional, national, and international experience. They're very typically are seen at national level regattas, national team trials, and others. The referees are here for your safety and your fairness. Next slide, please. It is your responsibility to know the rules of racing. Everybody should. Please understand equipment. It is your responsibility to make sure that your equipment meets the rules. That includes your heel ties at 3 inches. The bow ball needs to be 4 centimeters firmly affixed to the bow. And if you do have Shimano shoes, that must have a single hand quick release that releases both shoes at the same time. We will do a visual check at the docks, but again, coaches, rowers, it is your responsibility to make sure your equipment complies. When you do launch, please let the referee on the dock know what race you're in so they can tick you off. Your bow numbers are critical. They identify you and pick those up at the Control Commission tent. Actually, is it Control Commission tent or Regatta Central? Jules, Sarah?
Time
Picking
trial
up-
bow markers are at registration.
Registration.
Sprint racing bow markers will be at Control Commission.
Right.
So for day 1 swing by registration, we'll have them with your package.
Okay. Broken equipment. If you have broken equipment, especially prior to the start, put your hand up, let us know so we can accommodate you and get that repaired or get the part up to you as quickly as possible. Next slide. Okay, a couple rules. If you hear an instruction from a referee, it is good courtesy and makes things operate well if you just raise your hand to know you've heard us. If you're 50 meters away from us, here is all we hear. We don't hear anything. So get close. Again, acknowledge that you heard something by putting up a hand. It makes things a lot easier. Couple good items for conduct in the race. If a sprint race is in progress, you can't cross the course unless an official directs you. That does not necessarily have to be a referee, but it needs to be a race official, maybe a volunteer. As you move through the warm-up area, please do not stop and pause on the start line or put yourself in a position where you're going to drift into the way of the aligner. When you finish, keep rowing beyond the finish line and just be mindful that you don't block the finish line. When a race is approaching you, please stop rowing and you may move on as soon as the race passes you. Make sure you follow the traffic patterns. Again, it is your responsibility to know those. Those will be posted and you need to understand the day and the situation. And that means different traffic patterns for time trials, for practice and sprint racing. Also time. As your race time approaches, you need to be on time. the race marshals will not come looking for you. It is your responsibility. You know, one of these helps an awful lot if anybody knows what that is. So a watch costs you all of $5 or $10. Time trials, again, we've already gone through that with Yellow C, how to conduct yourself. You need to make sure you are in bow number order, and you will get direction from the starters and from the marshals, and make sure you pay attention to them. Next slide.
Hey,
Okay,
quick
sprint
clarification. Hey, Scott, quick clarification. It is reverse bow order number. So they'll go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
for sprints, yes, for sprints.
Correct.
Yeah, for sprints.
Thank
Yeah, I was talking about time trials. Sorry there. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Yeah, when you're directed by the starter, you can come onto the course. If there's enough time and conditions permit, you can warm up in your lane, but again, be mindful of the time. When you are backing into the stake boat, please check your boat speed. You need to take a little backstroke to slow yourself down. The boats have a lot of momentum and a lot of weight. The starter will announce the times, the countdown and times, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and 2 minutes, and you must be locked on 2 minutes prior to the race time. Starter can start the race anytime within the 2 minutes, and hands will not be recognized during the start. Next slide, please. Okay, start sequence. We use a roll call or a pulled start by calling the names of the crews, and then the starter will announce attention, raise their flag, and the moment the flag moves, you can go. That is simultaneous with a go from the starter. If the starter wants to interrupt the start because there is an issue, they will say "as you were" and slowly lower their flag. What about the start area? Well, there's a little item there. It says what to do if you're not ready. Well, the answer is on go, do not row. If you leave the start, actually, if you leave the start area, you have no ability to object to the start. And the start area is the first 100 meters. Breakage zone is 100 meters. And if you have breakage, please stop rowing and hold up your hand. The starter also has the option to use what is called a quick start, and they will announce that in the following way. This is a quick start, attention, go. And the moment, again, the flag moves, that means the race is started. And we don't use a roll call for a quick start. Next slide. Okay, we have following referees. They have a couple referees that will follow the race. They will use a white flag and call a crew name if they need for you to change direction. Again, the responsibility for steering is yours and yours alone, but the referee may direct you, may say Oregon State, and drop the flag in the direction they want you to go. And one other item, we are in an electronic era. It is not permissible to give any instructions or advice to rowers that are racing with any electric, electronic, or other technical devices. And the only thing that is allowed is instructions or coaching by unaided voice. That means no electronics, no cell phones, no old school megaphones, unaided voice. Okay, let's talk about the finish. If you feel that something is not fair in your race, in the conduct of your race, you raise an objection, and you do that before leaving the finish area. How do you do that? You raise your hand. If you're in a bow loaded boat, have your bow person raise their hand, because I'm probably not going to see the coxswain raising their hand. Keep it up until the referee comes over and talks to you, and the referee will want to know what happened to you, what impact it had on you, and what resolution you want to solve that. After the conversation, the referee is going to rule on that. They will do nothing. They may exclude, they may change an order. If you're satisfied with that, that's it. We'll do that. However, if you don't agree with the ruling, you must let the referee know that you're going to protest that ruling. Well, how do you do that? You let the referee know that you're going to do that before you leave the finish area. And within an hour of the race finish time, you need to provide paperwork which provides the information like who, what, where, desired resolution, along with $50. That's either cash or check made out to the LOC. The jury will rule on your protest. And if your protest is upheld, the $50 will be returned to you. And the protest can be submitted to either the chief referee or the deputy chief referee. Again, if you're going to protest, you need to let the referees know that before you leave the finish area. Next slide. Unsportsmanlike conduct. We are a sport that doesn't have a tolerance for profanity in general, and it is not considered sportsmanlike to use it even when for motivation. So it's no. Cindy, anything to add? Okay, back to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Scott.
bet.
I'll actually pass it off to Matt and Lawrence again to go over a venue map really quick.
So for those people who haven't been here, and by the looks of the entries, there could be quite a few of you guys. It's a basic outline of the site here. As you come down onto the road, whether you're coming down from I-75 or the Knoxville area, you'll pass the trailers. You're going to enter in where it says number 1. That's the main entry. If you're driving a trailer, the easiest thing to do is when you turn into that number 1 where Sarah so handily got her cursor there, if you go all the way to the river, hang a left and basically do a whole loop of the side of the parking lot and then come in. We're going to have people directing the trailers. We load, as you look at it, from the far right. Actually, not the very far right, because we've got just past that exit, the other road there. That's where we usually exit out of. We start loading up. We got the first trailer right there, and then we just kind of stack you in from that point. If you're driving the trailer, the trailer spaces are marked. My recommendation is always to park the trailer as far back as is safe. That leaves you the most room in front of your trailer. We do have some room the other side of that little walkway between the walkway and the river. As long as it's not right by the launch and recovery docks, you can put your boats down there where there's small boats. Some people put singles, doubles, 4s down there. It's just not enough room for 8s. We do have a little bit of space by the boathouse where the number 2 is, just opposite that, where it says 1X, 2X. We'll have some limited space down there for car tops. We also have a number of other grassy areas around the boathouse for that too. The EMTs, always a favorite. They're going to be down what we call the public launch dock, where the Red Cross is. If there is an issue on the water, that's the fastest place we can get you to. It's a boat. There's a ramp. If we need to pull you out of a boat, we can get you there quickly. If you're okay to get to the docks, it's more of a walking wounded kind of a deal. So it's not an emergency, but we can work things out there. We have a couple of supplementary launch docks that are down by the boathouse. We can go into that a little bit more detail with the emergency and any kind of course evacuation mark. On the peninsula, which is where you see the team tents and the college fair, those people who have reserved spots will have those spots marked out for you. Once the college fair is in place, we'll mark the tent spots with your name and location there. We have paid parking at the main parking lot where it says number 4 there opposite the boathouse. We have a little bit of overflow parking on that peninsula with the USRowing and referee parking there. We have handicap parking by the boathouse. We got a few of those. Those are not sold. That's first come, first serve. And right there is actually the public bathrooms too. We have a number of porta potties in banks of 3 along the trailer area and also on the peninsula. What do we have number 7? The food vendors, food trucks are going to be there. We've got a number of different apparel vendors. There's number 6 is a big grassy area there. There's probably going to be a couple of manufacturer trailers and tents in that area too. We try and keep all the team trailers in the main area, the grass field by the docks for ease of getting in and out. And I think that's pretty much for the site plan. So the evacuation plan, the weather right now looks great. We got rid of all the bad stuff last week. If something pops up, and we do have access, of course, to radars and phones and all kinds of things here, the best place to get out is to return as quick as possible, and you'll be directed with the referees if that call has to be made. Get back in to the docks. All 6 docks will turn into recovery docks. The 4 you usually use for launch and recovery, and the 2 Oak Ridge docks. They're all capable of taking 8, so we can get things going very quickly. If someone's up above, way up above the bridge, and if we need to, there's a little cove just downstream of the railway bridge before you get to the starting line. You can come in there. We can have some things set up. It is going to be a wet launch or wet recovery. It can be done. We have done it. It's a little bit of a last resort, but we can do that if the circumstances require. Again, that'll be under the direction of the referees. They'll be in touch with radios and come back to the boathouse, interior locations. But again, the weather looks great. We're not expecting any rain. Temperatures should be in the upper 80s, so pretty much what you'd expect anywhere else. Not too humid. I would make a comment and say the water can be kind of cold. I wouldn't recommend jumping out of the boat once you cross the finish line. Temperatures run in the 50s here because it comes from the bottom of the dam. So stay in your boats and get back to the dock. Again, more on parking. Parking with the big lots or the lots outside the boathouse. We'll have those marked. When you come in, you can collect, show your receipt for a paid parking pass as you come into that main gate, and we'll give you that parking pass and get a spot for you. Those are marked, and if we find people without a parking pass, they will be towed. A note about parking at this area, at this location. If you do not have a parking pass, it's first come, first serve on the side of the road. Those people who have trailers and trucks, the best thing to do is pull up on the side of the road behind your trailer. Coaches usually get here nice and early, so it's not a problem. I will make a warning and say, if you do park on the side of the road, make sure your wheels are off the tarmac. The police do patrol this, and if your car and wheels are on the road, you will get a ticket. There will be markings with all kinds of no parking signs. Every regatta, people decide that they know better and find a place to park, and every regatta, the tow truck comes and tows them away. We would rather you not donate your hard-earned money to the City of Oak Ridge Police Department, but they will happily take it if need be. So just be careful. I always get questions about bringing bicycles. I just picked up a phone call just now. I do recommend that if you do bring a bike, there is a bike path that follows the course all the way down from the start. There is a restaurant up at the start, a handy place for some refreshments, and watch the comings and goings and the starting procedures there. And of course, the greenway that follows the course all the way down. Coming down through the trailer area, it's going to be congested. But then past the trailer area, you can get down to the finish and watch the finish. So it's one of those courses where you can watch basically every single stroke of the race, which is kind of nice. So team spaces, I think there's a question or some of the statement about the US rowing registration. I believe you're having that in the breezeway, Sarah. So that will be next to the boathouse. The boathouse is a pretty blue color. And then there's a little alleyway between the blue boathouse and then there's another building and the public bathrooms next to it. A little alleyway in there where US rowing will be stationed with registration and any other questions you have there. Again, there are public docks and that public bathrooms rather there too. So that's, yep, the just a note on the courses. Again, there's a question also on the markings at the 100-meter mark. There are red buoys on the top 100 meters of the race course. They change to yellow at the 100-meter mark. Time trials, there'll be a pontoon boat there marking your times. Yellow buoys all the way down to the last 250 where they turn red again. And on the far side, and we call the city side, the side away from the trailers, you'll see signs that say 000 at the start. There'll be a big sign at 500, the 1,000, the 1,500, and the 2,000 where the finish tower is. So it's pretty well marked. And I recommend you take a little look at that if you're practicing as you're going up so you can orientate yourself on the course. Once you get to the embayment, that's about 250 meters to go.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. To sum up too, if you have not joined us already, text Youth Summers to this number. This is where we will push out all schedule updates, weather updates, any event updates that do need to come up. If you have followed us for any other event, you probably already have the number saved, but please still do text Youth Summers to it. It won't automatically associate you until you text those words. I'm going to keep this up on the screen for a second. My coworker Reggie is on, and Reggie's going to go over college fair really quick, and then we'll answer any last questions.
Yep, absolutely. So just to go over the college fair, there will be about 60 colleges attending. It will be on July 15th and July 16th. Each day will run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just a few quick notes regarding that. It is for rising juniors and rising seniors. Registration for the college fair will be open to athletes through Thursday and will close at Thursday at 6 p.m. This is just for athletes, so please let your parents know that it's just for you. This is for you to experience, to have an experience with coaches and talk to them on your own. So just for athletes again, and then extra documents with additional information for the college fair will go out to athletes. Those who have already registered will receive additional information tomorrow morning. And then of course, if you have any additional questions regarding the college fair, you can shoot me an email.
Awesome, thank you. I don't think there's any more questions here, but just to recap, we will go ahead and post this, both the slideshow and the recording on Regatta Central. And we'll also send out the updated heat sheets and official schedule on Here Now by tomorrow morning. So if you have any questions, please do let us know. Other than that, big thank you to Scott and Cindy, who have worked really hard on this event and excited to have their jury coming in. And thank you to the LOC.
Sarah, there's one more good question in the Q&A, and it's if you're rowing without a trailer, where would people find an empty space? Or like basically if you're car topping, where do you put your boat?
So we typically have spaces very close to the boathouse for car topping. You will turn in as if you have got a trailer and then park pretty much next to the boathouse. We have some space there. We do have a US Rowing ODP camp races going on Wednesday and Thursday morning. So there'll be a couple trailers there, but they will be packing up and leaving probably about 11 a.m. on Thursday, which will free up some more space. There's plenty of grass area around there. Also on the side of the greenway, if you have singles and doubles, we can find spaces for you. That's not a problem.
Matt, we should identify as well that the car top vehicle, unless you have a parking pass, has to leave the site.
Correct. Yeah. Also included any tow vehicles for trailers. You guys know what it's like around regattas. The tow trucks take up a lot of space, so whenever it's easiest and convenient, get those trucks out of there. It makes maneuvering the trailers much easier. And of course, once your trailer is in, you can only bring your truck back in when it's time to leave.
Awesome, thank you. There's one quick question of, just to say it one more time, the heat sheets are not posted right now. You'll find an Excel spreadsheet of the schedule on Regatta Central, but the heat sheets will be posted tomorrow morning. So if you're looking for that on Regatta Central, you will not find that. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good rest of your night. We will see you soon.